Hey everyone, and welcome to Sasquatch Theory. On this episode, I interviewed Josh, who had a terrifying Dogman encounter on the Mississippi River, not too far away from the Cahokia Mounds. The Cahokia Mounds is the site of a Native American city directly across the Mississippi River from present-day St. Louis. The State Archaeology Park lies in southwestern Illinois between East St. Louis and Collinsville. Today, the Cahokia Mounds are considered to be the largest and most complex archaeological site north of the great pre-Columbian cities in Mexico. Even the Native Americans today will tell you the Cahokia Mounds are very ancient. What was the purpose of these ancient mounds and who built them? Surprisingly, these mounds are found all over the world, and they just so happen to be in areas where people have reported seeing cryptid creatures and strange phenomenon. Josh's encounters were very intense, and this report will be for mature audiences only because this story could leave you with nightmares. If you guys enjoy Sasquatch Theory, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below. And if you have a cryptid encounter that you would like to share with me here on the channel, please contact me at sasquatchtheory@outlook.com. Alright guys, with all that being said, let's dive into Josh's Dogman encounter from the Mississippi River. Well, like with Lee Ferrickson and the Spaniards as well, like they got stories. That's the thing, they're gonna feed off each other's energy.
Yes, they stick together like glue.
That's good though. Because if one's doing something, the other one's doing its own thing, it kind of makes it tough.
Yeah, they're buddies, so that's horses, they're herd animals and they stick together. It's like pyramid size. Yeah, it's way bigger than what I anticipated. God only knows what's buried underneath. Giant skeletons. UFOs, aliens. What do you think, man? I'm gonna wander by the base of the hill just so you can get an idea of how huge.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I just look at it like they built it for something. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know that they buried anything under it. I feel like they just built it because of where it's located on the map. It's got like a star point, you know what I mean? Just like all the other pyramids all over the place.
Yeah.
So it's a line, there's like a type of energy that comes off of it.
I brought the EMF detector, so maybe there's some strange anomaly happening, but I'm sure people have already tested it out.
Probably. I don't know. It's pretty secret, man. Not a lot of people know about this place. Kind of keep it under wraps.
Yeah.
They don't want people to know that there's pyramids and stuff in the United States. It doesn't make sense because they think of Egypt and everything else.
Yeah. Well, like in St. Louis on the other side of the river, Joe was telling me that to build that city, they bulldozed most of the mounds.
Yeah, yeah. I think I said that in the interview too.
Yeah, yeah, you did.
it like that's what it used to be called, Mountain City.
Yeah. Welcome to Mountain City. I wonder if there's like Sasquatch bodies buried in there, or Dogman.
Really?
Yeah, there's got to be.
I mean, I've been out here at night a couple times. We really get sketched out at night.
Oh, I'm sure. Definitely a sketchy area to be at night in general. All right, we're gonna go climb up to the top of this mound. And yeah, it's gonna be awesome. It's the largest mound in North America. I know, right? I'm already out of breath. Maybe I got too much gear on me. There's got to be a Bigfoot and Dogman buried underneath here. You can see the arch over there. That's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, if we go to the river spot, it's going to be a lot more desolate.
All right, Josh, we're at the Cahokia Mounds, and you had a Dogman encounter in the area. If you would, run me through the entire experience from the very beginning.
All right, so the beginning just started out with I was training kickboxing with a friend of mine after I got out of juvenile. I didn't really have anything going on. I was like kicked out of my house. I was living in my car, stuff like that. I wasn't going to school, so like I got on with this really good trainer. We used to come here every Saturday and we'd jog up this entire Monk's Mound, take a ball, medicine ball to the end of it, and then we'd jog back down, and then on Sunday we'd come back up here. We'd get the medicine ball, come back down. And then after that, we'd leave here, we'd go about 8 minutes down the road to the Mississippi. There's pretty much, it's like you go over railroad tracks and stuff like that, and there's just like a beach spot with a bunch of different trees and stuff like that. Obviously, you know, overhang, different stuff. It was August, so it was disgusting weather, like awful weather. Like
Pretty hot.
Yeah, pretty much just like the humidity. It was, I guess the humidity made it like a lot hotter, probably like 120 or something like that. But so once we'd done this, obviously we're dog tired. I had to sit on a bucket because he only had one other chair, so he had a bucket bungee corded to the side of the van that I used to sit in because I always lost the sparring match. But anyway, so I used to do that, and then we'd ride there. We could only drink a half a bottle of water because that was just part of his training regimen. I don't know why, but that was just part of it. I never really got into the whole dietary thing and figuring out why. I just did what he told me. You know what I mean? Maybe. That's how I stayed in shape, so I was like, screw it, whatever he says, do it. But so we go to this river spot, and we mainly would jog that as a way to stay light on your feet, you know what I mean? Because it was really easy to like twist your ankle or something, just the rocks, the trees falling down, stuff like that. And just to stay light on your feet, you run, you kind of like tiptoe over stuff as you're jogging, so to speak. It's kind of like a weird version of free running, I guess, or whatever they call it. I don't know. Partial parkour. Yeah, so we would do that, and he had like different obstacles set up down there for us because he scouted it out originally. But he knew it was kind of dangerous because he'd run across homeless camps, we'd run across homeless camps, packs of wild dogs, stuff like that. You know, like we definitely had. There was one time where I swear to God, I thought we were gonna get mauled by this pack of wild dogs, but they were regular, just dogs. You know, these were just normal dogs. So, but yeah, so after that, he used to carry 2-3 like matching 357s on him at all times, and he always had like a shotgun, like a pump action Mossberg. And he started giving us like in those little drawstring bags, you know what I'm saying? We would carry those 357s because like if somebody happened to make a homeless camp there and we started running through it, you know, they'll attack you. A lot of people don't realize like homeless people aren't always like just poor. A lot of them just have mental disabilities and they can't get into mental institutions, or they don't want to, because who the hell wants to live somewhere like that? You know what I mean? So that's why they live out there like that. So they're obviously very protective and weird about their space. So that's why we were armed to begin with and stuff like that.
And
But-
we're in East St. Louis
Yeah, exactly.
or Illinois.
We're already in a dangerous area where you don't really want to be, but I don't know, he liked it. He thought it kept us gritty, you know. Whereas, you know, we'd box some of these kids and, you know, they grew up at Parkway South or whatever, you know what I mean? Grew up in like $300,000 houses back when that was a lot of money, stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? So, like, and then we box those dudes. They didn't have any grit, like, you know, they get hit too hard and they just quit.
Right.
Whereas, you know, we'd get up after falling down and start fighting again. But yeah, so anyway, it just gave us grit, really, I think. I think that was the main thing. And he was Bosnian. He was from, you know, he was like a straight refugee. He was old, like really, really old. His English was about, I don't know. I think he probably in reality only knew like maybe 45, 50 words of English, to be honest with you. But he knew enough for us to know what he wanted us to do and stuff like that. So as far as training and all that went, but he was really old school. So anyway, he just trained us the old school way, the same way that he would have done in Bosnia when he was training his boxers out there. So that was running across lakes or lake banks and stuff like that, river banks, same thing to him. That's what he used to say. So, but yeah, there was that one day where we ran up here, we come back down, I got in there. So yeah, pretty much he always just made sure that after we'd had a couple different encounters with actual packs of wild dogs and like people and stuff like that, he just made sure we were strapped because he didn't want to have to explain to our parents that we got killed by dogs or whatever, you know what I mean?
So that was a thing around here, packs of wild dogs?
Oh yeah, for sure, it still is. Especially down in East St. Louis, like it's just like the reservation. I mean, it's the same deal. I don't know if you ever heard like about res dogs or whatever on the reservation. My grandpa grew up on a reservation.
Yeah, I've
that's why I
heard
know
about that.
it. So yeah, same ideology, same terminology, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so yeah, there were dogs and stuff like that. And then, I mean, we found, this only happened once, but there was one time when we were running and there was a body that was going up against the bank of the river.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
So that was intense, a little scarring, I guess, because it was like one of those waterlogged ones, you know what I'm talking about? That they talk about. Yeah, it's pretty gross. But anyway, that's why we were strapped, just in case, because we didn't know people could be doing hits down there, people could be doing whatever. But the day of, when it actually happened, so we're running, he's in front of me, my training partner, he's in front of me, you know, he's bigger, stronger. His dad was like a 10-time world champion kickboxer and stuff, but he was only training with the other dude because he just felt like he was always in his dad's shadow, so to speak, you know? So that's why he started training with this dude. And that's how he got me linked up with this dude, because I just got out of juvenile and he was like, you got to do something with your life, like you're gonna die. I was like, yeah, you're right, probably. So that's why I did it, you know what I mean? So, and I used to box with him back when we were like 14, 15 type thing. So the day he's running, he's way ahead of me. We had gotten out of the van, we ran, turned the corner. We turned the corner at the same time, and then he took off, like sprinted way ahead of me. But it wasn't really that far. It was probably maybe, I don't know, 20 yards, I guess, on a football field type, you know what I'm saying, like straight. And then I was about to turn the corner when he turned around. I could hear something, like it sounded like he tripped or something. I don't know what it really was. Like, I don't know what exactly happened. But he came around the corner and like ran right into me pretty much. Like, and I like went like this, like grabbed him, because we were both running so fast that we kind of did like a suplex. Like I kind of suplexed him on accident. And he was like RNG, and I was like, what the fuck? He wasn't even saying it right. Like, it was RNG is what we always said, which meant run and gun. But like, he was stuttering over his words, you know what I'm saying? So like, I could tell he was actually scared. His eyes were super big, like he was just freaked out. And like, I just kind of flipped him off of me and like stood up, and I just figured he meant like, get your gun now or whatever, because we're gonna have to use them. And I pull my gun out, and I look, and I can see a shadow, you know what I mean? And it wasn't moving fast, it wasn't running, nothing like that. So yeah, anyway, so he pretty much like tackled, well, I don't know, he ran into me, you know what I'm saying? So he runs into me, I pretty much suplexed him on the ground because I wasn't expecting it. I didn't know that it was gonna be him that did that. Anyway, he's on the ground, he's saying RNG to me, but he's like stuttering. And he's never stuttered in his life. I've never heard this guy stutter one time in my life. So anyways, I just got up and I pulled my gun out and I started to see the shadow start to come. Like, it wasn't like moving really fast like people say, like, oh yeah, these things are like ridiculously fast and all that. It wasn't even trying to move fast. It was almost like it was just like slowly stalking, like, because I guess he just ran up, saw something, and then turned heel, tripped, and then that's when it realized he was there. Like, I don't think they were stalking us.
What did it look like?
I didn't see it. He did.
Okay.
As far as the later, I did in a second. Here, I'll get to that part.
Okay.
But so I see the shadow or whatever, because I could see the shadow of it on the beach, and I mean, that just looked like a black blob with two triangles on its head. I was like, what the hell is that? And then I didn't realize that he meant run, not gun. He more or less was just like, dude, just run. And I just see this, like, just the forearm part, I guess, and the hand come and like start to move this big, this overhanging growth out of the way. Like, it was almost like it was slowly, cautiously trying to creep up on us, so to speak. Even though he knew it was there, I knew it was there. Maybe it was just, it knew it had us, so it was just screwing with us. I have no idea. But its hand, compared to my hand, was like 3 times the size. And like, it looked like Sabretooth from that one X-Men movie where he could grow his claws out. It looked like those, but covered in hair. And like, if you look at a bear paw, you can see it looks like a hand. You know what I mean? It kind of looks like a human hand. But on the top of it, it doesn't. It's just all fur and just claws. This didn't look like that. You could see the structure of a hand with fur and stuff like that, but not, it was just enough for, like, it wasn't super bushy or anything like that. Anyway, so I see that big hand, and I see that, and I didn't know what I was looking at, because I was just like, what in the hell? You know what I mean? It's not something you see every day. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know if it was, for all I knew, it was some weird mutated experiment that came out of the Mississippi River. I didn't know. I knew it wasn't a human, and it was standing on 2 legs. So I pointed the 357 after I had pulled it out, and I saw the ripple in its hand go, and it made this noise. It was like a mixture of like a growl, you know what I'm saying? Like a really, really deep, guttural, negative sounding growl, and a scream, almost like a human scream. So it was just, it hurt my ears, and it kind of made my body shudder. Like, I went like that when I heard it, which I just went again, just because I was like, I don't care. And he was like, what are you doing? Come on. He grabbed my shoulder and pulled me. I guess he had started to run, then realized I was shooting and came back and grabbed me. And so then we take off, we're running. We run all the way, we get back down that 20 yards, we turn the corner, and we can see the van, and I see the van or whatever, and I could have swore this thing was right behind me. Like, I could hear something, that type of noise, you know what I mean? Like something panting, something running, like it's ticked off and it wants to kill you. And I still had the gun in my hand, so I just went like that. I probably didn't hit anything, but
you shot behind you.
Just as a way, just as like a way to like intimidate or scare it, something. Obviously, it didn't like it the first time it got shot, so it's not gonna like it again. So, and then by the time we got halfway to the van, Boris had already heard our shots, so he was sitting, so the van looks like, a van sitting like this. He's sitting where the window's at. So there's a window, and he's sitting on the window like this, with a shotgun like this. And he's aiming, and I even heard like one of the slugs go over my head, just boof, boof, boof. And we were at that van in like 30, 40 seconds. You know what I mean? It felt like. And inside of it, slammed the door. He was back in the van. We took off. So pretty much, yeah, we rounded the corner. We're at the stretch. We see the van, and Boris had heard my shots. This is when I took the gun out again, because it was already in my hand, so I didn't have to take it out. But, we were literally wearing gym shorts and freaking basketball shoes. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's not like we wore shirts or anything. We just had the drawstring bag with our guns in them. And I took it out, and because it sounded like it was right behind me, like, I could hear it. I don't know if it was 10 feet behind me or within arm's length to just grab me if it wanted to. So I just did this, and boom, boom, boom. I knew I probably wouldn't hit it. I knew whatever, but I was just terrified of the simple fact that what if it gets right there and it can grab my shoulder? and maybe that'll scare it off just a little bit. And it only took us probably 20 seconds to cover that, you know what I mean? So, and then halfway there, when I guess Boris felt like it was okay for him to start shooting, he had his shotgun out, and you just hear boom, and I even heard one of them whiz over my head, and like I kind of went like this. I remember like in the middle, I kind of went like this as I was running, because I was like, he's gonna start shooting. He's got that gun pointed, and they're not. Whatever's behind me isn't stopping. So, boom, 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 or boom, 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 obviously. But and then as soon as I fling myself into the van, my boy flings himself into the front seat. I don't want to say his name, and then, you know, slam the door shut, whatever. He slides back, he throws the shotgun in the back or whatever. I crawl to my bucket, bungee cord bucket, and then he turns it, whoop. Or actually, no, he was already pointed, so he just went straight. But then it was when the railroad tracks, he had to turn. And when we hit the railroad tracks, I was ba-boom, ba-boom, because he was going so fast. He normally would go over it real slow and at an angle. He was going like at a weird angle and just boom, 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 boom every time. So like I'm hitting my head and stuff like that. And once that stopped, once it was over, I like, you could still see the beach and everything. And I looked back to see what I was looking at. I'm like, what was that? And then I see there was something face down. You know what I mean? One of them was face down, what I would now call a Dogman or whatever. And the other one, it just looked like a really, really big wolf at first. And then it stood up. And I was just like, what the fuck? Did I hit my head really hard? And that was only a 3-second visual that I got, but like I got a really good photographic memory. So like I still have that picture in my head. And the one that was laying on the, like in the sand, you could see there's just almost like a puddle of blood right there, so to speak. There's no head that I could see. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but I couldn't see it if there was a head there. And like it had this weird, I don't know, it almost like the hyenas from Lion King, how they had like that mohawk thing, that black hair, you know what I'm talking about? Like how they had that
mane?
Yeah, like the back of them had that mane on them. It had like that, but it had that really like kind of pressed to its body fur also, like gray fur. And these things didn't look matted, they didn't look, and this is a dead one I'm talking about. And that was the one that I realized later on and it had a tail and everything, but the tail was like to the side. But it was so long stretched out, it was stretched out longer than my Mastiff. You know what I mean? When he fully lays with his paws and back feet, it was stretched out longer than that. So it would have been, I would assume, between 6 and 7 feet tall, something like that. And its arms weren't like this though. Its arms were like this, like it face planted, and just threw its arms back. And the other one was sitting, and it had to be 5 feet tall just from how it was sitting. Just at a sitting whatever, and then when it stood up, it got a lot taller. That one was like black with but in the sun, like the sunlight, it had like a glint to it. You know what I mean?
Like a
reddish shine, yeah.
Okay.
There you go. So, and then just I remember the eyes, like that was probably, even though it was only like a very short whatever, it was almost like it stood up for fun. Like it stood up just to freak me out. Like it was enjoying the fact that I'm looking like, what did I just encounter? But I'm pretty sure the one that I shot was the one that was face down, I think. I don't know. I can't say for sure, but on coloration, because that one was more gray and black, and I remember its hand was more gray, whereas this one was like black and red, and it had more of a coat to it, like a full coat, whereas that one didn't have as full of a coat. It had more of a hyena vibe, whereas that one had more of a like wolf vibe, like real furry, pretty wolf vibe. Even though that one was really well groomed, it just had more of a, you know what I mean? So I don't know, and I don't know enough about hyenas to honestly say that. I'm literally basing this off the Lion King,
right?
You know what I mean? But it's just that's my basis. I mean, this is something that isn't supposed to exist, so I don't know. It could be a mutant, it could be an X-Men that I didn't know about. for all I care. But, well, the one's laying, the other one's sitting, whatever. And I feel like that one, I feel like it just stood up to mess with me. You know what I mean? To just
Did he slowly stand up?
Yeah. It was a very slow, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just to
it
be
wasn't
like.
quick.
It was like, and it all happened in a very, a flash, because, we were out of sight pretty quick because there's the foliage and all that, and we had already hit the railroad tracks. So they had to have been, the dead one, I saw that right after the railroad tracks, and we were already too far. He was gone. The other one was right at the edge, and then, yeah, he stands up, like real slow, and then he's out of view. I couldn't see him anymore. And I was like, what did I just see? And we're, then we're zipping, we're flying, we're going, and Boris just straight up said, he was like, you tell no one, you did not see nothing, you tell no one, tell no one. Like, he said that like 9 times, and we were both just, me and old boy were just like, no shit, like, we don't want to look crazy, like, we're not, we're 16, he is 18, I'm 16, we're not going to tell anybody, like, everybody's going to say we're nuts.
Right, so you saw something that shouldn't exist, you shot something that shouldn't exist, and it was just a crazy, hectic situation.
Yeah,
your buddy's panicking, like, you tell no one, you tell no one.
Exactly, yeah,
and,
so we all just kind of made like a pact where, like, we're not going to say anything about it. I mean, old man's dead, dude that I'm talking about, nobody knows, nobody's ever going to know who he is. So it doesn't really matter, and but it took me the ending of it, really, there's more to it in the sense of, like, him and I, so he was kind of also taking care of me to an extent, like, not taking care of me, like,
watching out over you.
Yeah, so, like, he would let me stay at his house and stuff like that when I needed to, and, like, Boris would let me stay at he'd let me stay at the boxing gym if I had to, you know what I mean, instead of sleeping in my car. Mm-hmm. So Boris pretty much told me, he's like, you're gonna stay at the gym, until this blows over, kind of thing. And I was okay with that, but old dude was like, no, like, you can come stay at my house, whatever, my dad can get, he can, whatever, screw him, you know what I'm saying? So it was a mixture of that, and it took me about 3 days to, like, really, because, I kept asking him, I was like, what did you see? What did you see? Like, just tell me what you saw. And eventually, it took a little bit of time to get it out of him, but he, we had to drink quite a bit for me to finally get a real scenario, a real story out of him. So pretty much we hit the railroad tracks. Like I said, I'd seen that, and it stood up, like you said, it stood up really just like,
it was intimidating.
Right. It was more of a, like, hey, I know you now. I remember you. I'm going to find you type thing. And then, we're going back across the river. Boris was telling us, you saw nothing. And then old dude was like, no, you're going to stay with me for a while. And then I finally get him to tell me what's going on, like what he saw, because he rounded the corner. I didn't round the corner. Mm-hmm. And he straight up said he saw something, he saw one of them standing up, and he said it was gray, just like how I described the one that didn't have a head. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, he saw pretty much, he said there were tents that were ripped up. So there's a homeless encampment. Somebody must have set up another encampment back there. And the way he put it, he said it looked like it had a leg, human leg, and was eating it like we would be eating a drumstick. And that was after a lot of alcohol and stuff. I don't know if that's exactly how he saw it, or if that's exactly what he did see, and he didn't want, me to be like, you're nuts. Because that's exactly what I said to him. I was like, dude, you're nuts. You didn't see that. He's like, no, I really did. And it took, like I said, it took a lot. It took like 3 days worth of drinking to get him to that point to tell me that.
Yeah, so if there was like abandoned tents, and he claimed
they
he
weren't
saw
abandoned, they were ripped to shreds and all on, yeah.
But if he saw like a human leg in this thing's mouth, it could have ate one of those homeless people.
Well, and then what he was trying to say was, yeah, there were bodies and people, they were all dead.
Really?
Yes. He said it was 2 dudes and 1 girl.
So he's seen more than you. That's why he took off running.
Yeah.
And that's why he was saying,
saw it in a
don't
whole
tell
nother-
anyone. Like,
yeah.
it was a massacre.
Yeah. So, and I mean, and at that time, especially in East St. Louis, you know, because that's where it really was. So it's like, we're at Cahokia Mountains. This is where we worked out. And yeah, I've seen different things around here. I've seen different, at times, you know, like especially when you come out here at night, you see, you know, sometimes you'll be looking out that way or out that way, and you'll notice something weird running across especially a full moon, clear night, you know, you can see stuff because the city's way over there. You know, there's not light pollution. There's not nearly as much light pollution. You can see stuff running across the ground if there's a full moon. Like, I've seen stuff out here, but this is mainly just where it all started. But yeah, what he saw on top of what I saw, I mean, and then, you know, that was when I was 16. I'm 33. So what's that, like a decade and a half pretty much or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's 16, that's 17 years, I think. If I did that math right, that's 17 years. I want to say 17. Anyway, it doesn't really freaking matter. Almost 20 years at this goddamn point. But yeah, so that was how it all, that was like it was a gnarly situation because I was right there. I was in the moment. I saw what I saw and I know what I saw. It took a long time to digest. We didn't have the internet the way we do now. I didn't even know what a Dogman was. I thought it was just like some mutated freak of a creature or a X-Man. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, because that's the only thing that I could compare its hand to was that. So I had no idea what I was really looking at until, I mean, I started hearing about Dogman and shit like that. Because, I mean, it wasn't a Sasquatch. I couldn't say it was a Sasquatch. It was too dog-like, you know? Mm-hmm. And I've seen every dog that's ever been produced, at least with a picture. You know what I mean? I've never seen one that walked on 2 legs other than in movies, like werewolf movies and stuff like that. And it really didn't look like 99.9% of the werewolves that you see on TV. It didn't have that greasy skin, that, you know, mangled look. I mean, it looked like it just had a pedicure and a shampoo and conditioner, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't really know, but that's pretty much how it went. Like, we ran from it. We hopped in. I saw, and for, you know, that split second, I saw one missing a head and a pool of blood, and I saw one sitting there, and it kind of just stood up to, like, it was almost like it was flexing on me, like, what up, bitch? Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And yeah, and then we had that conversation, and then he told me about what he'd seen. So yeah, I mean, and there's been so many different missing people reports out in East St. Louis and in this area. You know, it's not something that the police even try to investigate because, I mean, there's a strip club every other mile. There's prostitutes all over the place. It's the most dangerous city in the world, or in the country, and the 10th most dangerous in the world, or in the top 10 in the world. And this is in America. Like, this is, like, I mean, you got the Congo, you got everything else, and that's where we're sitting, or we're not sitting there right now, but where we're gonna go is where we'll be sitting in that area. So it's just one of those things, you know. It's something. It's gnarly to even think about, really, because you don't expect to see a freaking werewolf. Right. There's enough going on.
Yeah, there's enough to worry about, and then you run into something like that.
And then you're like, I don't even want to leave my house anymore. Like, right. Jesus. But I still hunt. I'm not scared of the woods. I'm not even scared of that thing, really.
Yeah.
You know.
So whenever you saw that creature laying there, how big was the pool of blood?
So, I mean, like a beach volleyball width. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And the creature was laying face down?
Yeah, it was face down.
Do you think that's the one that you shot in the hand, or do you think it's the one that your buddy shot?
I think so, and only because, I mean, even with, like I said, I've got a photographic memory, and I vaguely, number one, because the other one wasn't the color of the hand that I shot. Number two, I kind of do remember, like, it would have been the right hand that would have been pulling it because it was coming this way. So, and I remember there being like a big red streak right there too, like it got hit in the head and fell.
Okay.
So
what did the creature look like? The one that was sitting up, the one that stood up.
I mean, it just kind of looked like a skinny but buff wolf, I guess. You know, really long, kind of. I don't. It's hard to explain, really.
So it was muscular.
Yeah, it had muscle for sure, but its hands and its wrists were kind of skinnier. Even its biceps. I mean, skinny in a sense to where, compared to the other one, skinnier, but compared to me, I mean, it was like a Mike Tyson compared to me. You know what I mean? So like, I mean, it was gigantic to me, but compared to the other one, it was probably more like 7 to 8 feet tall, where that one was probably, I'll be honest, I think that one had to have been about 9 feet tall, which I don't know if anybody else seen any that big, but that one was a beast. Like, that one was not afraid of shit.
Definitely not a human, definitely no known animal.
Absolutely. I mean, unless humans have tails, you know, because it did have a tail.
Yeah.
So, and it didn't have any clothes on. So it'd be really hard for it to be a person. Unless people got tails nowadays.
No.
But
absolutely not. What did its face look like, though?
So the one, like I said, the one I didn't see its head. I didn't see its face. Make any sense? Obviously, it didn't have one.
Yeah.
When I was looking, as far as I could tell, it didn't have one. But the other one, I mean, it looked kind of like. So I have a Mastiff, I guess. And the way that I could describe it is, it had the Mastiff skull shape, but it didn't have the droopiness. So maybe more like a pit bull, but with a little bit more of an elongated snout. And
like a German Shepherd or a hyena?
Like a German Shepherd, yeah, more furry, furry face. Like, it had more fur on its face. This one, like, it was actually really, I mean, I'm a dog lover, so for me to look at it, I was like, damn, that thing's actually kind of really pretty. You know what I mean? Not like a wolf, though. It didn't have a super, you know what I mean? It didn't have like a dolphin snout.
Yeah.
It had like that big wide, and then came to at the end, without any sagginess or whatever, like a Mastiff would or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess would be the way to put it. Yeah.
And like, what did the eyes look like?
Eyes were, I mean, they were like a yellowy orange. You know what I mean? The eyes really freaked me out because they were super. It was almost like they were all knowing or something like that. Doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm not saying they were all knowing, but they were intelligent.
Yeah.
Almost like it knew, like, if it stood up, I was going to be intimidated. Like, it knew, you know, it was doing everything it did on purpose. It knew it couldn't cross the railroad tracks, because if it did, it was going to be in, you know, people's zone, regular people's zone, not homeless, insane asylum people's zone, regular people's zone.
Yeah.
So it was like, all right, you get to go, but don't come back, and I might track you down at the same time.
Surprisingly, there's a lot of Dogman reports from the Mississippi.
Oh yeah, off the river?
For some reason, yeah.
I feel it. So, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, though, if you really think about it. I mean, if you think about animals and you think about the way that they traverse and migration periods and stuff like that, what are they going to follow? They're going to follow a river that runs across the entire country. You know, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you go from the north all the way to the south? When it's too hot and it's annoying and there's tourists everywhere, why would you stay in the south? You go north. You know what I mean? They follow, and they can, it doesn't matter. I don't care what anybody says. You can take the river and you can get to a spot, or you just take the railroad. That's the easy, because there's a railroad that follows a river. And you could stay out of an eye's view of anything, really, if you're on the railroad track that follows the river.
Do you think there's a connection with these mounds and the cryptid creatures?
Absolutely. There has to be, in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. There could be some buried underneath us right now.
That are just like the energy, maybe, you know, maybe they, I mean, this is where you get, like, you go from flesh and blood to, I guess, what is that called? Like the
supernatural.
The supernatural side of it, yeah. Like, but I mean, it's just like with a skinwalker or anything else, you know, they derive their energy from certain places where there's a high level of energy. I mean, even with your, what was that thing called?
The EMF detector?
Yeah, your EMF thing, it was reading something the whole time we've been up here. I mean, they may derive their energy, or maybe if the portal thing's real, I don't know. I just started learning about that, but maybe this is where, maybe it's a place to, come in and out. Maybe it's a place to camouflage. I don't know, but I would bet that that's the easiest explanation for certain things of that nature, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no one really knows.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's like giant skeletons buried underneath these mounds.
It's a possibility. It's one of those things where I would never disturb this earth, just because of my background and, who I am. But for them to do, how they do those new things where they can shoot like a whatever through the, into the earth where they can see what's underneath it.
Is it like LiDAR?
Yeah, like LiDAR or whatever. I don't know, whatever they're doing out in the Amazon these days.
Yeah,
Now they're finding all the cities to do that here. I think that'd be a smart idea, just because.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what's under here. They say it's a burial ground. They also say it was a metropolis and a huge trading post. So what was it really? Like, what was it? Does it generate energy? It's under a constellation. It's a part of, just like every other pyramid and everything else, it's just the least famous one in the world because it's in America. But it was built, what was it? What did you say, 11, because you read the sign, like 1150 AD or something like that? That's when they suspect it was built. I don't know when the pyramids were built, but I'm just saying. And there's a lot of stuff that they talk about nowadays, especially pyramids and Egyptian findings and stuff like that in Illinois, the Grand Canyon. I mean, there's a lot of, if you educate yourself properly on these different things and see the proofs in the hieroglyphs and just the formations themselves. Why the hell would you stack a bunch of dirt on a bunch of dirt on a bunch of dirt on a bunch of dirt for so long that you got it this high? What are you doing? What is the point of this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's a grand design to it.
Yeah.
And a purpose.
Exactly, and we'll never be able to know for sure. We can just see the pictures of what archaeologists think.
Yeah.
So
someone knows for sure, and we're just being told.
Exactly, which is
why
that's why we're researchers and they're whatever the hell they are, knowers.
What I find interesting about your encounter is I interviewed a guy from Youngstown, Ohio, and he was talking about this abandoned area.
I listened to that one.
Yeah, and he was talking about these packs of wild dogs that were going through there, and he was warned about it. And when him and his buddies went there, they ran into a Dogman creature, and it was a really intense encounter. And I looked up the area, and there's mounds there. There's burial mounds, and of course in Ohio there's the serpent mound. So it makes me wonder if it's the same thing going on here.
Yeah, it's the same energy connection, and I mean that would tie the portals together. That would tie a lot of things together. I mean, you can look at the arch right now from here, and what does it look like?
Yeah, it's a gateway to the gateway to the Midwest and
gateway to the West, but
to the West. Sorry, and
same thing. Doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean, this could easily be an area where portals are easier to come across, and there's a lot more energy here, a lot of different form of energy, stuff like that.
I think so. All right, let's go to the area where you had this encounter and kind of walk me through it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I want to see what happened. Hopefully we don't run into any trouble down there.
I'm strapped. It'll be all right.
Yeah. We use our drones to take them out, man.
There you go.
right, so we just filmed the Dogman interview, and now we're going to the encounter site. This mound is incredible. It looks not so big on camera, but when you're here, it's like a giant pyramid. But yeah, there's mounds scattered all over the place, and it makes me wonder if there's more to it than what we're being told, and I believe there possibly is. I think we're always being told half-truths about strange phenomenon that's taking place on this planet, whether it's the giants, cryptids, UFOs, and I think there's a lot more to it, and it's possibly all connected.
So
we are in East St. Louis, right across the Mississippi River, and there's been a lot of Dogman reports in that area. But yeah, it's freezing cold. I can't feel my fingers. I got snot coming out of my nose, and my nose feels like it's frozen. But yeah, this is so cool. I can't believe I'm here. I've always wanted to visit this area, and even in the city of St. Louis, there's mounds in the middle of this city. But yeah, God knows how many artifacts are underneath us right now, how many remains, and
your customization.
I wonder if that's the reason there's so much crime here, because the place could be cursed. But I don't know. You hear these strange stories like the Kandahar giant and giants that have been found in Missouri. People have found giant skeletons in the town that I'm from. So who knows? Where we meet. You know what I mean? Like in the movies where we meet somebody in a sketchy spot. It's like, you got the stuff? Yeah, I got the stuff, man. At the encounter site, kind of a sketchy area, but we're going to walk through it, and he's going to guide me through the experience that he had. So, yeah, not exactly where I like to be.
So pretty much, yeah. I mean, this isn't my typical
Bigfoot routine.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is the best general area, I guess, but it didn't used to be like this because this bridge was completely under construction. It was barely even built at that time. You know what I mean? This was all covered in grass and woods and all kinds of shit. It was rough. We used to ride dirt bikes down here and shit.
Hooters Cup. A lot of trash down here. Wonder how many bodies have been found here in the past.
But literally, like, that was why we had to jog down here. It was because the obstacles. You know what I'm saying? You got obstacles all over the place, so we had to jog this shit to like stay light on our feet. And once you got to a certain spot in this general vicinity of an area, everything else, you know, it was summertime, so all these little things that you see that just look like a little dead whatever, just imagine a giant bush. There's bushes everywhere. There's people camped out. There's people fishing, doing all kinds of stuff. You know, there's boat ramps. Obviously, there's one right there. So we'd be jogging on these like this, trying to
avoid
our
the big
feet,
rocks.
like stay. The whole reason for it was to keep you on your toes.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're boxing, you want to be on your toes. I know this ain't a boxing video, but that's the reason why we had to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then obviously it's almost 20 years ago, so the terrain's changed quite a bit. But all this was full foliage, everything you can think, and it was way further back. They cut it down a lot, they've done a lot to it. But I guess the easiest way to put it is wherever you would have got, I guess, right, you know, imagine that's all down there. We were up here. This was just a little trail, kind of. So you jog, you're jogging. There's this big bunch of trees, bunch of overhangs, stuff like that. And once we passed one, we got to another after we were out of sight. So that would have been, he parked pretty much where we were parked. So that would have been, we'd have passed this one and went further down a bit. And hold up, once we get there, I'll kind of give you a better idea. So like, once you get to that point, you go around the corner, you can see what I mean, where he couldn't see us. And I guess that would be the proper amount of space that I was trying to talk about. It's just, it's crazy. Nobody's been down here in years, it seems like, which is good, probably for their benefit. But so yeah, so imagine going around that turn, it being summertime, it being hot, everything like that, and then you've got all the trees, all the foliage, you've got, you know, bushes and all that crap. And as soon as he went around this corner, so to speak, I'm probably about there. I get to about here, and I could hear something happening, but I didn't really know. I figured he tripped and was being I don't know, bitching. And then he turns. This is as far as I would have went, right here. Imagine that is the foliage with all the whatnot. And he was already back around, tackled me pretty much right here. Well, he pretty much ran right into me, and I did this. We both fell, and he's stuttering, you know? And I'm like, okay. So I pulled the gun out right then. And there's you know, just trees and branches right here. Just to like try to imagine that part. Trees, branches, everything grown out. You gotta remember, it's summertime, it's not winter when this was all going down. So it's like, and I could see the shadow of this thing. It's a little hazy. I just got tackled and everything else, and I'm pulling a gun out and I'm whatever. And I can see the shadow on the beach because the sun's coming down like this, and it's casting, you know, giving him a shadow. And it starts to move the foliage or whatever out of his way with its hand like this. Like it just kind of goes like that. But its head and everything else was whatever you want to call it. Couldn't see its head. All you could see was this. So I saw a forearm and a hand. The hand was like that, I guess, size-wise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Had these big claws and everything like that. And I was like, it's not a freaking person, you know? I'm like stumbling up like this. I get my gun out like this, and I just went like that, and boom, and I hit it right in the hand. And I shot 2 more times just because, like, it's a 357, you shoot something, 357, like from there, a human being especially, you're gonna kill. And for him to be that scared to where he couldn't even say 3 letters, something wasn't right. So, and then for him to grab me too after I'd already shot the gun and just be like, we gotta go, freaked me out. So then we ran all the way there, turned that path right there, and that was, I swear to God, I could hear it behind me, and because we got there, and that's what it made that scream. It growled, it did all that crazy shit, whatever you want to call it. And then, so we get there, we get to the van. I'm in the back of the van. I'm looking out as we're hopping, we're driving and all that. And that's where, you know, it was sitting like, you know, like a dog, flop. And it just stood up like this, like on some, what, bitch type shit. You know what I mean?
Where was the creature laying at?
That would have been down here. This would have been where it all started.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So imagine, so it all starts here, then he grabs me, we start running, we sprint this way.
Okay. Now take me to the spot where you think the creature was laying down at.
And I mean,
where the other one stood up.
Still, to this day, I would say, if I hadn't shot it, I think we'd have both been dead. But, because I didn't know there were two, he didn't know there were two.
Was it coming after you? After you shot it initially?
Yeah, after I shot it. Well, after something was.
Okay.
One of them was, you know what I mean? Because there were two of them. So there was something else running, but, you know, we used to run this, and I can't really do it. I'm not nearly as good, but I can kind of give you an idea as far as how, whenever we get to the rocks, I'll kind of show you, because running's running until you get to a certain area. But like I said, the whole lesson was to stay on your toes. So, you know, as you're running through obstacles, it's like a type thing. Hit that, because it builds your calf muscles and stuff.
Yeah.
So like that's the whole reason for the whole exercise to begin with. But yeah, so we're doing that. We're doing it quickly, but we're going around every obstacle we can. And then this would have been right where we'd have turned to get to the car or the van. Like up there, not here. Because we didn't do, because we were running from something, we weren't gonna do a wide turn. You don't want to do a wide turn and then get, so we were going straight, as, you know, much as we could, this direction, like this, and then at that point, it didn't matter how tired you were. Like, I remember stuff like this was whipping us in the face and shit like that. But it was summertime, so it's harder to paint the picture. But if anybody's got a little bit of an ideology on what nature looks like in the summer, they could probably paint it for themselves. But so as we get around this area, pretty much close to where the cars were parked, because Boris would drive a lot further down. I would even say he was probably, I don't know, we're kind of going off of different river, different, over 17 years of change. But yeah, I guess he would have been parked there because we were under the bridge. So we would have came up, all this foliage, and then as we came, because there was a different trail, or maybe it was this trail, I don't know. That's crazy, I never even thought about that. Weird.
Well, let's say.
But yeah, anyway, so as we're coming up, or we were coming up there, or wherever we were coming up at, whatever. He's like where that truck's at with the van, but pointed, and he's got, that makes a lot more sense. But I think he was parked in the grass because it was, I saw that thing face down the sand. So he must have been pulled down further for that to have went the way that it did. But that's the, I mean, that, you know, that's got like a perfect whatever as to the way that we would have came up it. So that makes the most sense, at least. And it's not like he stayed in the gravel, he didn't care. So yeah, he was probably just parked right there. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, I mean, I don't remember all that shit being there because a lot of it's new. But yeah, when I looked back and I saw the one face planted, you know, it was in the sand, it was, I mean, yeah. And then the other one that was sitting down stood up as we're peeling out and we're hitting shit. So, yeah, I mean, that'd be the easiest way to describe it, I guess, from this, like, assuming, like, with the new, you know, 20 years pretty much of erosion. But
what do you think happened to the dead body? Do you think
I think
the other one took
do
it?
something. Yeah, I think they do something with their bodies for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, there's no animal that's that intelligent that can look at you with that amount of intelligence, know when to chase you, know when to not. You know what I mean? Everything has an animalistic instinct. Everything wants to kill, wants to this. Everything wants to make more of. But at the end of the day, they don't want to put themselves, especially if there's something that's unknown to the mass population of the most populated being on the planet. You know, they're trying to fly under the radar. They're not gonna chase you out into the highway. You know what I mean? They're gonna chase you up to the top of the bridge.
Right.
So I would just, yeah, I think that it just knew, like, all right, I'm out of my territory, I'm out of my boundaries, and just went back to, took whoever, whatever that was to it. I mean, that one looked more like a beast, like an alpha, even though supposedly it's not a word, but like a badass, an enforcer type of something. You know what I mean? It looked like it was just ready to go all the time. Because it had, I mean, it really had muscles where you could see it, and it had thinner skin, it had that mane, you know, like I said, with the hyena mane, so to speak. It had that, and the gray, you know, so it just, that one was way more intimidating looking, even though it didn't have a head. But compared to the other one, it just kind of looked smarter and like it knew what was up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't really know. I'm not a Dogman specialist or anything, but as far as that went, the fact that we even made it from over there to here, I mean, because that's about the right amount of stretch or whatever to even get to the van is pretty intense. Never even thought about it. But, because I know how fast, or at least I've heard how fast they are. I've never, I guess I felt how fast the one was when it was behind me, but at the same time, that could have been my mind playing tricks on me. And
definitely an intense situation.
Yeah, and I mean, I would have never known that it was, I didn't believe that I had seen it stand up for real, because I just thought, you know, I hit my head off the freaking top of the van a bunch of times. But then when I talked to old boy and he told me about it, like what he saw, the camp being ripped up, it looked like it was eating a very large turkey leg that he said looked like a human's leg, and there were bodies that he saw. I mean, he said two men and one female. I don't know. I can't confirm it. I didn't see it. But a standing, you know, bipedal wolf thing eating a leg and 3 dead bodies. And I mean, when I rounded the corner, I had to stop and throw up because of how bad it smelled. Like, it got to me so bad that I stopped, threw up. He came around and pretty much ran into me and could barely talk. You know, he's stuttering and all that. So it's just, yeah, I mean, then we got back. Luckily, Boris was shooting out of the top of the van, and then as soon as we hopped in the van, we were gone, and that's when I saw it sitting down, stand up, and when I saw the other one face down. So that's about as detailed as it gets as far as what I saw and what I was told about it, you know.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you for sharing that with me.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, people always tell me after I do an interview, Miguel, you should camp there and investigate. Hell no, I'm not camping here.
I would.
No way. I believe you. And these things are running the Mississippi, but I'm not camping here.
Right.
It's definitely one thing we always worry about, me and the other researchers, is what if we run into one of these things? What are we going to do? It's like, what can you do? As long as you're armed and you get the heck out of there, that's about it.
I mean, that's how we live, so.
Yeah.
There's been there have been times when that is one thing, like, to check off my bucket list, is to camp at some point along this area.
Yeah, you were talking about doing that.
Just for like a night, you know what I mean? Just so that I can, like, put it to sleep myself, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Get over it, so to speak. But
definitely
talking about
a creepy area.
Nice. Do what?
Got the Dogman in the car.
Right.
What's up, buddy?
Juvenile Dogman here.
Yeah, juvenile Dogman.